With Star Wars Episode 9 being the final film of both the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy by writer and director J.J. Abrams, a lot of people around the world are looking forward to the future after the sequel trilogy. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, I'm sure that you guys heard just a couple of days ago that apparently Disney may very well develop Star Wars Episode 10 in order to kickstart one of the new trilogies as a way of branding and keeping that numbered title in the Star Wars franchise. Now, you guys may recall about a year and a half ago that Kathleen Kennedy said the whole entire idea of Star Wars Episode 10 coming into fruition all depends on exactly how Star Wars Episode 9 plays out and how it does and how the story goes along. Now, some months after that, we learned that they were shifting away from the Skywalkers and would not be continuing the chapter films. Now it seems as so, with the Solo: A Star Wars Story box office results and The Last Jedi backlash, and how they lost a lot of money, and with Episode 9 being a course correction, now it seems as so that Disney is really trying to brand one of the new trilogies, either the creators of Game of Thrones, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, or Rian Johnson in his Star Wars trilogy, to kickstart with the first movie being Star Wars Episode 10. Again, this is all about branding one of the first films of those two trilogies being Episode 10, and there's a big debate about all of this because let's say, for example, if one of these new trilogies are based in the past before the events of the prequel trilogy era. Let's say, for example, if the creators of Game of Thrones develop an Old Republic trilogy, obviously taking place many years before the events of The Phantom Menace. If they call that Episodes 10, 11, and 12, I'm not quite sure, but that would seem a little confusing to the casual viewer who watches all the Star Wars films, Episodes 1 through 9, and then 10, 11, and 12 being based in the past. So if that actually is their plan, I feel like that would be the wrong thing to do. On the other hand of things here, we do know that Disney and Lucasfilm actually wants Rian Johnson to do a totally new story that's not related to the Skywalkers at all whatsoever, and any existing Star Wars lore for that matter. Rian Johnson is set to develop a Star Wars trilogy on a blank canvas after he directs his movie Knives Out. So, with that being said, it could be Rian Johnson's trilogy after all. That would be the trilogy based after the events of Episode 9. But taking place in a totally new area of the galaxy that has nothing to do with all of the characters and lore that we are familiar with. Now, with that being said, if they make Rian Johnson's trilogy to kickstart with the first movie being Star Wars Episode 10, I don't know how you guys would really feel about that, because then that would mean that Rian Johnson has Episodes 10, 11, and 12 of the Star Wars franchise. Now, I know that a lot of people don't really trust Rian Johnson after what happened with The Last Jedi and the feedback it got and what choices were made for the character of Luke and certain plot elements in there as well. But looking into the future here after Episode 9, we do know that Star Wars Episode 9 is going to be a mega event for Disney. It is a huge deal for them in order for it to be a success. J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, they are working around the clock on getting this right. And there have been some script rewrites, some script adjustments, some reshoots planned for the first act in the near future. Nothing too major, but we'll have to wait and see. With that being said, Star Wars Episode 10, guys, I would love to hear your input about all of this below in the comments section. There's a big debate on this right now, on whether or not they should stick with that type of branding or shift away from it if they truly are ending the Skywalker saga. And if Episodes 10, 11, and 12 come into fruition, branding-wise, that's how they'll be titled apparently, if they have nothing to do with the Skywalkers, would that confuse the audience of exactly what's connected to what? To me personally, I think that continuing the Skywalker/Solo family, or the bloodline if you will, is the way to go. If Rey and Ben Solo have a child, perhaps, they could continue that bloodline even further into Star Wars Episodes 10, 11, and 12. To me, I think that's the right way to do things. These titled movies with the numbers in them should stay as a generational trilogy that's actually connected to a past family. And that's the big debate right now. If Disney chooses to brand one of these trilogies as episodes 10, 11, and 12 that have nothing to do with the Skywalkers or the Solos or anybody that we are actually very much familiar with in the Skywalker saga, which is of course episodes 1 through 9. If they do those numbers and they're not connected to that family, that would break tradition of it being truly generational when it comes to the family tree of the Skywalkers and the Solos. So I think that there is a workaround to this. They could change their plans. They could actually insert a child of Rey and or Ben Solo and continue that bloodline if they really wanted to. Or maybe even a secret child, for all we know, of Luke Skywalker. Maybe he's got a son or a daughter out there somewhere. You know, they could always do something crazy if they really wanted to continue that 10, 11, and 12 aspect of Star Wars and keep it true to the generational, format of the franchise itself. I would love to hear your opinion on that all below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.